Hello everyone, welcome to another video of learning the Polish grammar. And today we're going to be talking about the locative case, so one before the last one. And the locative case is known in Polish as Miejscownik, and the word comes from miejsce, which means a place in Polish. So it is used to define the place, meaning it is the case of stationary location of stuff, or about the topics, because it answers the questions such as where specifically location, but about whom or about what. So that's why a topic, because there is a question about something, okay? And you can think of it as the static case, because it describes where something is located right now or what you are talking or thinking about, right? So the topic or subject. So for example, książka leży na stole. The book is lying on the table. Okay? The subject in nominative is the book, of course, because it starts the sentence. It's just the basic thing that starts the action, right? Something is lying on the table. So the first thing is book in nominative. So what is lying? Then there is the action that is lying. And then where is it lying? Well, on the table. Na stole. Okay? So in this case, we use the locative. Because the book is not going anywhere, meaning it is not involved in a dynamic movement, it just lays on the table, okay? Even though there is the verb that it lays, but it just sits there statically. That means we use the locative case, okay? Because it just is there, okay? So that's why there is the ending stole, That signifies that it is the locative case. Another example with the topic or the subject usage. For example, myślimy o wakacjach. We are thinking about the holidays. Okay? So, the subject in nominative is, well, my, which is implied we, English we, or in Polish my. It is not present in the sentence, but as I have explained you in previous videos, the form of the verb tells us that the first person plural is performing the action, okay? Just by this ending, my, myśli my, okay? It already tells us that we or the first person plural is performing the action, okay? So the subject is just implied nominative. There's the action myślimy, which is thinking. O wakacjach, about the holidays. So, about the holidays, and it is about what, okay? So the topic in locative o wakacjach. Because it answers the question about what. Okay? So, the most common uses of the locative case are only three main contexts. And I have explained two of you already. So first is the static location, where something is. And the important part right here, the locative case is strictly governed by specific prepositions. So in previous videos, using accusative and instrumental, there were also cases where we described the location, but it solely depends where, first of all, is it the, again, dynamic movement or static position, but even then, it depends on the preposition. So in the previous video, I have gave you some comparisons between specific prepositions. So these little guys, okay, will be always used with the locative, and they are required to make a locative, okay? So when you want to describe any form of location and use this case, they will have to appear, basically, okay? So when these guys appear, it's locative. If there are no prepositions, that means it's probably in some other case. when we talk about the location at least, okay? Okay, so this contrasts with the accusative, which indicates motion towards something, yes, and it can work maybe even without a preposition or with some other prepositions. So, in, inside, w, on, at is na, and by, near, or next to is przy. So these will require the usage of locative. So I am in the house. Jestem w domu. Domu. So this part is in locative, okay? The house is in locative. Jesteśmy na koncercie. We are at a concert, okay? Again, there is the preposition na, which means the noun following it is in locative. And spotkajmy się przy kinie. Let's meet by the cinema. Przy kinie. Przy kinie. Kino becomes kinie because it's in locative. Because the preposition requires it to be. Okay? And it describes the location. The meeting location, or where we are, or where I am. Okay? Okay. Abstract topics. So this is the talking about, so used with verbs of thinking, talking, or dreaming about something, okay? So, rozmawiamy o pogodzie. We are talking about the weather. Marzę o nowym samochodzie. I dream about a new car, okay? So, in general, when there is o or about something, you can be almost sure that it is in locative, okay? Okay. And the last one is time and sequence. So it is used to specify when something happens or a sequence. So, w in the same preposition as in here. Urodziłem się w maju. I was born in May. Okay? So w maju. May is in locative. W tym roku jadę do Polski. In this year I am going to Poland. Okay? Again, w tym roku. So in this year. In May. Okay? Or specific clock time. Spotkanie jest o godzinie 2. The meeting is at 2 o'clock. Okay? O godzinie 2. Okay? And after specific time, we will go for a walk after lunch. Po obiedzie. Po obiedzie. Okay? So, this whole case is pretty much just relies on prepositions plus thinking about something. Thinking, talking, or dreaming about something. Okay? Okay. Well, how do you construct the locative case? Okay. So, when it comes to singular nouns, we can group together masculine and neuter nouns, okay? So, like the first and third gender. For hard consonants, the rule is that the ending changes to E, or there is E added at the end, okay? That is the stuff in the brackets that I will explain after everything here, okay? But for example, when you have a noun table, which is masculine, stół, w is considered a hard consonant. What consonants are hard and which are soft, okay? So I have prepared on the side right here, just a reminder, these are soft consonants in Polish language. So all of the softer ch sounds, chi, sh, j, ni, this shush, generally this shushing softer sounds, ch, j, ni, also written with the I, so ci, si, zi, dzi, you get the drill. And also this j, harder sounds. I mean, this harsher sounding, but these are all considered softer, okay? Ch, sh, j, ni, j, z, j, sh, j, ch, i, l, c. Okay? Also j, l, so y, l, c. Okay? All of these are soft consonants. So everything else, so B, P, W, T, D, and stuff like this, okay? R, and w, okay, are hard consonants. So, because there is a w consonant at the end, we add the e. So stu becomes stole. Okay? Biuro, which is a neuter singular noun, becomes biurze. Why is there additional change with uo and rj? I will explain it in a different video. I have mentioned it that I will make a separate video about the changes in the stem or the root of the words, okay? So this will be in a separate video because it governs pretty much all cases together. So in this video, we're just strictly talking about locative and endings, okay? Okay, but there is an E at the end. That's great. So for soft consonants and K, G, and CH, so K, G, H. So all of these guys plus K, G, H. Okay? This changes to U. So that is the U ending added or just switched vowel. Okay, yeah, I forgot. Vowel is switched to U. So we have a hotel, okay, which is a masculine noun. Since L is at the end, we look over here and for sure, yep, L is present in these softer consonants. So therefore we need to add U at the end. Hotel, hotelu. Hotel, hotelu. Then we have a park. It is also masculine. Park. Well, it is present here. Okay, so K, G, and CH are also considered to be part of this group. So it ends with K. Okay, so we need to add U. Park, parku. Park, parku. And why are there prepositions here? Because, well, this case usually involves using some sort of preposition, as I have told you. Okay? Okay. So that's just an example preposition. Okay. And for the feminine nouns, so these were for masculine and neuter, a single rule. I mean two rules, but pretty straightforward, so it seems. For feminine, it is a bit worse. So for hard consonants, which is the same as in the previous one, just everything that is not present in this one, okay? And also no K, G, and CH. It changes to E. So the same as masculine, actually. So szkoła becomes szkole. Kawa becomes kawie. Why is there an I? I will explain in a different video. But the ending is still E, sorry. Okay? Now, the second part is a bit different because for the softer consonants, which is these guys, and K, G, H, we can change to either Y or I. And there are also some, just to showcase that there are some exceptions present in this case. The first one is well, it means Poland, as in the name of the country, and it is a feminine noun, and it changes from Polska to Polsce. So first of all, it ends with K, so you might assume, well, there's gotta be Y or I at the end, but there's some weird thing happening where K actually becomes a C, and then there's the E added, so it's just an exception, okay? And this exception, as I have found, is usually considered with for some reason, it's considered, it usually has to do with countries, okay? So countries can be pretty weird. But when you look at the other two guys, so for example, ulica, ulica. So there's the C as the last consonant. We look over here. There we go, there is C. So it should be Y or I. And yes, there it is. Ulica, ulicy. Ulica, ulicy. So it means street. So the restaurant, which is restauracja in Polish. The last consonant is Y sound. J. Look over here. Yes, it is. So it should be Y or I. Okay, restauracja, restauracji. Ah, okay. Yes, and it is written just like this, restauracji, which is both J and I. And you can produce the sound. It is hard to say yi. So it pretty much comes off as just a longer E sound, okay? Not restauracji, restauracji, restauracji. I hope you can hear the small difference. Not restauracji, 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 restauracji. Or maybe it sounds pretty short for you. I'm not sure. But in general, it is just an E-like sound, okay? Okay. And how do you determine whether to use Y or I? I have absolutely no clue, and it's probably best to, unfortunately, just remember it with the noun. Yeah, probably it is the case. We had this problem already with some like genitive or dative endings. So I will try as well to just quickly find out if there are some particular rules for this one, as it is the only tougher part about the endings for the locative. But I fear they might be not anything in particular, okay? And there's this little note after we have done all of the singular nouns about the mutations, that when adding the E at the end, this causes the consonant before it to soften. So this whole part, okay, plus the changes in the root or the stem of the noun when changing from between different cases. I will talk about all of this in a separate video. About these are so-called morphological changes, okay? So this will be a different video. But let's stick with the endings. So going to plural. So for all genders, plural is pretty much simply just always ach. So plural, so documents in Polish, nominative plural is dokumenty. To make it locative plural, dokumentach. Women, nominative plural, kobiety. Locative plural, kobietach. Cities, nominative plural, miasta. Locative plural, miastach. Just add ach, ach, ach. Replace the last noun, or the last vowel. Replace the last vowel or just add the ending, okay? Boom. The single exception, as I have already presented to you with the Poland, right? Poland noun. A few countries end in ech, in locative. And these are the countries that usually sound plural. So for example, countries such as, I'm not sure how are you able to hear the drilling, but I will pause the recording anyway. Okay. Coming back to our exceptions. So, countries such as, for example, Spain is in Polish Hiszpania. Hiszpania. So it is singular. Okay? So as it should make sense, I guess. Because it's also Spain, just Spain in English. And the same goes, for example, with France, Portugal, Switzerland. Okay? But for some reason, in Polish, Germany is Niemcy. So its standard dictionary form is Niemcy, which is just naturally plural, okay? Yes. So when we refer to Germany, we just have to use the, I don't know, verbs such as are, you know? It is not singular, it is just plural in nature. So in locative, Niemcy becomes Niemczech. Niemczech. Okay, that is Germany. And the same for Italy, which is absolutely crazy. And when you track the map of the name of that country, you know, it in the whole of Europe, pretty much only, I guess, we in Poland, so in Polish and in Hungarian, there's something other than Italia, Italy, Italian, or whatever. We just have our own weird names, okay? I don't know why. So Italy in Polish is Włochy. And it is also plural. So it is never singular. It is just in this way dictionary form is plural. So we have to make Włoszech, Włoszech in locative. Okay? Okay. Okay, so these were the popular two exceptions for countries. Otherwise, it's just ach. And for the adjectives, it is pretty straightforward. For singular, masculine and neuter, just add m at the end. So if the adjective ends with dy, just add m. Or if the adjective ends with the I, also just add m. Nowy, nowym. Polski, polskim. Okay? For feminine singular, you add a ending. Okay? Okay. Dobra, dobrej. Dobra, dobrej. So again, replace the vowel or add replace the vowel or add it to the last consonant. Descending, okay? And for all genders plural, it's ich or ich, also depending on the form of the like nominative singular version of the adjective, right? So we have starzy przyjaciele, which is a kind of weird form, but it is nominative plural, okay? So nominative plural is starzy, but in singular, this adjective is actually stary. So we have the in nominative singular, we have the adjective ending with y. So if it ends with y, just do this one. So just add ch, starych. Boom, there you go. Okay. So the last portion, which is of course common mistakes and pitfalls. Motion versus location. So the learners often confuse going to a place with being at a place. So please make sure to, I guess, practice that part, okay? So, idę w sklepie. It's just, it means walking in circles. So I am walking inside the store. So it's not walking to the store or yeah, just entering a store. It just means just going and walking inside of a store. Okay, just in place or again in circles. So it is kind of weird. So there are two possibilities. So it either is idę do sklepu, which means I am going to the store, which is in genitive. Okay. Or to describe the location where you are at, jestem w sklepie, I am in the store. Okay. Okay. Then there is the v versus na distinction. And knowing whether to use one of these prepositions might be a bit difficult, but in general, v is for enclosed spaces or some containers, and na is like on top of something, on surfaces, on top of surface, or some open space, okay? So for example, incorrect is jestem w uniwersytecie. This is of course university. So when you want to say I am at the uni, kind of like in English, na is more like at and w is more like in, okay? Jestem na uniwersytecie. So in general, institutions or like some campuses or like big spaces, right? Often take na. Jestem na uniwersytecie. The same, for example, with a beach. To be at the beach. Jestem na plaży. Okay? Then, for example, a swimming pool, okay? A pool. Jestem w basenie. Or jestem na basenie. Technically, this one might not be incorrect, because this means you are in the water, okay? You are just in the swimming pool, okay? But if you wanted to say that you are at this place in general, maybe you're just walking around the pool or just going out or going inside, just changing in a changing room, okay? Jestem na basenie. this would mean that you are at the general location or the place, okay? At the complex or like, yeah. Okay. We're getting constant mutations, which you might not realize yet because I will explain it in a separate video, okay? That when we add the E ending, there will be changes happening with our nouns, okay? Okay. So this one I will explain in a different video. These guys, so these guys are also the part of the, well, these are not soft consonants, but they are in the same group, okay? So masculine nouns ending with these guys take U, not E. So just this this point just makes sure that that you know that k, g, h belongs there, okay? Okay. And some exceptions that some words just don't follow the standard rules and unfortunately must be memorized. So for example, dom does end in a hard consonant because, well, there is the m, but it takes u w domu, unfortunately. So syn ends in a hard consonant, but takes also u, synu. And pan, which is a general way to say mister, ends in a hard consonant, but it also takes u. So opanu. Okay? So that was it about the locative case. And there will be just one more case left. And after that, we will be talking about all of these changes in the middle of the words, the root or the stem, okay? So see you in the next video.